Welcome back, Care Partners. Have you ever caught your loved one with dementia saying something that you know isn't true? Oftentimes you're thinking, why in the world would they lie about something like that? It can be really confusing for you, and depending on the story, actually, it can be quite infuriating or embarrassing. Today I'll explain why your loved one with dementia sometimes bends reality and how you can respond in a way that brings about more peace instead of anger and frustration. Hi, I'm Dr. Sinclair, neuropsychologist and dementia care specialist, helping families just like you navigate the complexities of dementia caregiving. The first thing to know, Care Partners, about your loved one with dementia lying is that it's not really lying. What? I know. Think of your loved one's mind that was once a beautiful completed puzzle that now has missing pieces because of dementia. When the brain can't find the missing pieces, it's wired not to leave the puzzle incomplete. So the brain just starts filling in the gaps, filling in these missing pieces with pieces that might not fit but are close enough. So even though the statements or stories that your loved one is saying might not be accurate, it's filling in the gap. And so the puzzle feels whole and complete again. That's why, Care Partners, when your loved one with dementia makes up a story that's not true, it's not lying in the way that we think about lying, trying to deceive someone. It's actually the brain trying to create these stories that fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle. And because of the dementia and losing the ability to reason and think sensibly, sometimes your loved one's brain fills in these missing pieces with a story that doesn't even make sense. When your loved one with dementia misplaces their purse and you ask them, "Hey, hon, where's your purse?" "Oh, the neighbor stole it." Your loved one isn't intending for your neighbor to go to jail. Your loved one's brain has forgotten where the purse is and just created a story as to where the purse could be. Sometimes the stories make sense, sometimes they don't. The process of filling in these gaps is called confabulation. So your loved one who says that the neighbor has stolen the purse that they have actually misplaced is confabulating. They're not lying, they're confabulating. So they really believe the purse was stolen and likely believe it was stolen by the neighbor. And tomorrow you might get a different story about where the purse is. Confabulation. This segues well into the other reason that your loved one with dementia lies, and that's memory loss. So, Care Partners, a brain with dementia, that puzzle that has all of the missing parts and pieces, those missing pieces can be because of a lot of reasons. It can be because of disorientation as to the time and place that they're in. So your loved one may make up a story thinking that they're in their 20s and here they are in their 70s, and you ask them, "Where did you go?" "Oh, I went to the club last night." Right? They're thinking that they're in their 20s and that's what they used to do. And so they filled in that missing part with a story from their 20s. Okay, so because of that time disorientation, they filled in the gap. Confabulation can also come about when there's memory loss. So imagine if you can't remember something, there's a gap. And so now the brain is going to fill in the gap with confabulating. So confabulation can come about with disorientation, confusion, and memory loss. And in fact, memory loss is a common reason that a loved one lies. They cannot recall the details, the true factual details, and so therefore the brain fills in that missing piece. Another reason that your loved one with dementia may appear to lie, and I'm going to say lie in quotation marks because you now know that it's not lying, they're not meaning to deceive. Another reason that they may lie is because of anosognosia. So with anosognosia, your loved one is losing the ability, the insight to recognize their limitations. They lose awareness of what they are and are not able to do anymore. And so, as you can imagine, that brings about lying. Let's say that you live out of state and you call your loved one with dementia to check in on them. "Hey, how are you doing? How's everything going?" And they are saying, "Everything's great. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking all of my medications, etc." "Oh, wonderful. That's great." You go to visit them, Care Partners, and the home is in disrepair. There's trash piled up. There is medications on the counter untouched. Your loved one is eating expired food, right? The home is in disrepair. They are in disrepair. Your loved one was not lying on the phone call when they told you that they're great, they're fine. They're not lying because they still think that they have the ability to take care of themselves. And that's anosognosia. They've lost the ability to recognize when there's a problem. And care partners, as dementia progresses, your loved ones even lose the ability to recognize when they're hungry, when they're thirsty. They lose the ability to recognize the feelings that they're having. All of that is anosognosia. It's important for you to know, particularly if you're a new care partner, that anosognosia is a very, very common symptom of dementia. And so if you are a care partner living out of state, it might not be a good idea to solely take your loved one's word for it. You might want to have a neighbor or other family member or close friend checking in on your loved one with dementia, just to make sure that the stories you're getting are accurate. Let's move on to some other ways that you can navigate these untruths that come up with your loved one with dementia. Actually, before we jump into that, care partners, if this is helpful to you, then please go ahead and like this video or share it with someone or comment below if you've learned something new, if this makes sense. Feel free to share a story of confabulation. It will bring a chuckle to the group, and sometimes you just need that as a care partner, right? So let's move on now to what you can do as a care partner when your loved one is lying. The biggest way to navigate a loved one with dementia who's lying, care partners, is to focus on the emotions and the themes of what's coming up in their stories and less about the facts. So you're going to start listening to the story. Are they scared? Are they embarrassed? Is it an exciting story? Are they liking it? So respond to those emotions and the themes that come up instead of correcting your loved one and saying, no, that did not happen. What are you talking about? I'll offer a story, care partners, as an example. I once worked with a client years ago, many years ago. She's since passed at this point. And this client came to me after losing her child to suicide. For those of you who've ever had a devastating loss to suicide, you know that there is this constant questioning of, was I there for them? Did they know how much I love them? Did I meet their needs? All of that just really pulls at you. Did they know how much I care? And if they knew how much I care, would they have still done this, right? It's a nagging, heart-wrenching theme that comes up for people, particularly when they've lost someone to suicide. So I worked with this person. We processed the grief and the pain and all of those themes and heartaches that came up for her. Years later, the family contacted me again because my former client now had dementia and she was confabulating. She was making up these stories about how she was walking by a school, an elementary school, and all the kids would come running to the gate and they were so excited to see her, and she would give them candy and she would help them with their homework, and she was just doting on them and helping them, and all the kids just loved her. Family could not understand why is our loved one making up this story about seeing kids every morning. This is not true. This is not happening. It's an elaborate story, Dr. Sinclair. What's going on, care partners? Hopefully you've put the emotions and the themes together here. Remember, this loved one's brain, this puzzle piece, has a lot of missing parts. There's still a nagging theme going on here for this loved one. She needs to know that she is caring for these kids I don't want to get emotional. After losing her child to suicide, this loved one needed to know that these kids knows how much she cares about them and she enjoys doting on them. And in her confabulation, we see her brain just trying to fill in the missing pieces. Do these kids know how much I love them? Do they know that I'm here to help them? And how beautiful that now her family has an opportunity to share in that. And so the way that I coached her family was, We're not going to say, no, that didn't happen, Mom. What are you talking about? You are not walking past a school. Instead, you're going to now say, wow, Mom, what a wonderful experience. How lucky are those kids? They get to see how caring you are. I remember when you used to bake cookies for my preschool class, or I remember when you used to come and go on trips with my third grade class. Her family, they can say, you were equally as caring to us. You did all of these wonderful things. And it's an opportunity for the family to reminisce about how wonderful Mom was when they were younger. Even if Mom doesn't remember what they are telling her, it still makes her feel good. And it makes the family feel good as well. They get to connect with their mom again in a very special way. And that's what it's about. Can you imagine if this family did not have this skill? They would have done what they came in initially doing, which is, what are you talking about, Mom? You don't walk past kids every day. Oh, Mom, it's time for breakfast. Let's go. Let's have breakfast. They would have missed an opportunity to make that loved one feel great. And it makes them feel great too, because that's a moment of connection. Your partners, by virtue of your loved one having a dementia diagnosis, you are slowly losing your loved one with dementia. This is not the time to focus on facts. This is a wonderful time that you can connect with your loved one and have a moment, a shared moment around an actual memory. So even though it started off as confabulation, it was an opportunity for the family to connect around and have that part of them come to life again. I hope that was helpful. To learn more about how to manage challenging behaviors with dementia, then go ahead and watch the next video. I walk you through a step-by-step system of how to navigate those difficult dementia-related behaviors. I'll go ahead and post it above, below. I'm still figuring this stuff out, guys. I'll post it somewhere for you to have. See you in the next one.